Welcome to Sober Shenanigans. Real talk and real recovery, sharing stories, old and new, trying to stay on the right path and help others just like you. So feel our flow and get on with the show. Here's your hosts, Stoff and Primo. The fisherman, aka Lucky Lou with the fluke. Lou, how you doing, Lou?
I'm stoked to be here.
That's right, I forgot stoked. That is my main man, Hunter Grand, right there. He will drop stoked all the time and makes you feel great because he is stoked to be sober. And that's what we are too. So, well, listen, let's jump right off into it, Lou. We're really glad to have you. Why don't we start at the beginning? Give us a story about when and how you decided to get sober and what was going on in your life that made you decide to do that.
I thought we were gonna have a little seance with the
flute first?
Oh yeah, man. That's what I thought we've been recording for like 6 or 7 minutes now.
We're gonna get the flute in a little
We'll
bit.
get to the flute. Yes, let's let
Listen, he's a bigger than you, so I'm gonna listen to him.
I'm the ADD one.
Yeah, my name's Lou. My name's Lou. I'm definitely an alcoholic, and I was one of them alcoholics from the get go. From the get go, I had a drink and that was it. The drink took me. At 15 years old, done. Don't even have to explain any more than that. I have all kinds of drunk stories and crazy stuff, but it was just how much can I get? How often can I get it? Where can I get it? Where's the money going to come from? And that was the end of it. I mean, I drank straight up basically for 9 years straight, and I had some troubles, but I didn't associate that with drinking, or maybe I should curb my drinking. It was like, get out of the trouble that morning or that day or out of jail and go at it again. I never like, oh, maybe I should stop drinking. All my stuff went sideways. I used to get good grades in school, down. I used to be the guy you could come talk to about the truth. I didn't really intentionally lie, but I would, kind of sin of omission. I was known as the guy kind of like, well, if you really want to know the truth, go ask Lou. When we were kids,
Right.
What happened, but I sound like a snitch, right? But, I just did stuff that I wouldn't do before.
Where'd you grow up?
Right here in Tampa, in St. Pete, Florida. I was born and raised St. Pete, Florida. I've lived here my whole life. I just bought a place in North Carolina a couple years ago, and I go up there for a few months to beat the big beast in the sky, the sun.
Yeah.
And so I had some trouble, and where it really came to the end, they were getting closer and closer, those episodes of trouble. And I was on probation my whole life. It seemed like, even though it wasn't the same one, I'd get off one, get on another one, pretrial intervention. Some of you all know about that stuff. And so I ended up, I'd had blackouts from the time I was 15, 16 years old. I've been doing iron work for 44, 45 years.
Wow.
And if you don't know what that is, crawling around on I-beams up in the air.
Yep.
Putting nuts and bolts together and stuff. You might be 15 feet in the air. You might be 100 feet in the air. Just depends. And I liked it because you got a little respect that way. And it gave me a purpose and gave me, kind of like I could make good money and I could party. And, we all say everybody parties. Like the iron workers are the worst. The carpenters are the worst. The bartenders are the worst. The people in
Painters.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
You could be a carpet layer, you could be a painter, you could be, an executive. We all think we're the worst. But I like that identity as a drinker. And I had I had these situations, DWIs, I'd been to jail, I'd had blackouts, I'd had hangovers, I'd had stitches cut up here and there. And in 1982, I came out of I was going to try some sociable drinking. I'd never done that, ever.
Okay.
So, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to try some sociable drinking. I had a sore throat. I've been on a run for a couple of days, working. I was a workaholic also. And I've been working, so I got off work, and I said, wow, I'm going to go to this, see this guy right here, close. Well, I was on US 19, just down the street by Honeywell, where Honeywell is. He had a restaurant. There's a German guy and his wife, and they ran that restaurant, breakfast and lunch. And I wasn't eating much back then, other than liquid pork chops. Okay, know what goes on. And I might speak a couple different language once in a while.
What is a liquid pork chop?
Budweiser.
Oh my God, the butt wipers.
Yeah, okay, whatever. You know, it didn't matter. Whatever drank, and I was the kind of alcoholic that would drink whatever you had, whatever you brought. You know, if you brought a bottle of booze in my house, I'd take the lid off and stuff it in my pocket so you couldn't take it home with you. Because, you know, everybody put the bottle of booze under the seat, but
Right,
when
right.
the lid wasn't on there, you couldn't do it. But I decided
Smart.
I'm gonna stop and try some sociable drink, and I had a sore throat, so I got a bottle of booze, schnapps, and I said, "Hey, you wanna have a drink with me?" The guy goes, "Yeah, okay, I'll have one with you," and you know the little water glasses that they have? So, I poured him one, me one, we each took it. Second one, he took it, and then he turned his and flipped it over. Now, I guess that's what sociable drinking is, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was about 2 in the afternoon, he'd closed shop, and he'd ask and I kept drinking. And he started going, "You know what? Why don't you let me make you a sandwich?" And I'm like, "No, that's okay. Let me get you some water." "No, that's okay. Why don't you take a nap in the back? I have a cot back there." You could see me getting there. I'm like, "No." And now this was in 1982. And he said, that was when I got my last DW. I had two in my drinking history. I had one in 82 and I had one in 80, somewhere around there. I don't know exactly, but
Wow.
and I said, "I gotta get out of here. This guy's," and this was before friends don't let friends drink and drive,
Right.
bad, any of that.
Seatbelts
Yeah.
before a lot of
All
stuff.
that. Yeah. And so I said, "I gotta get out of here." Well, it was a fifth of schnapps, and which I usually didn't drink, but you know, we have a cure for everything. Since I had a sore throat, some peppermint schnapps worked. I had a hangover, V8 and a tall boy.
Just a thimble, right?
Something. Yeah, just a thimbleful, right? So I said, "I gotta get out of here." So I grabbed the bottle and I said, "I'll see you later." He didn't say you shouldn't drive or anything. Oh, he was German, so you know they kind of have a pretty good respect for not, you know, other European companies or countries. They'll shoot you if you get caught drunk.
If you don't drink and drive in Germany, I think you get arrested.
Well, I don't know about that. Yeah. So I said I was gonna head over to this. All I remember, I was going somewhere. So I grabbed my key. I got in the car, took one more pull off the bottle, put it at the floorboard, turned the key, and I don't remember nothing. That was the last I remembered. I came out of that was 3 in the afternoon.
Mm.
About 12 hours later, I came to in Pinellas County's finest, right down the street here on 49th Street.
You
And I went like this, and I felt stitches in my forehead. I had about 18 stitches in my forehead, 13 stitches in the back of my head, crusty blood, head going kaboom, 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 you know, and a blackout, not knowing how I got there. It was cold. They keep it cold in those jails. If you guys probably never been there, but you know, so
It's been a while. It's been a while. The bologna. I'm a pretty much of a connoisseur of bologna sandwich.
yeah, okay. So the blackout and all the stuff that goes along with it, and I'd had all that, but not all at once. And then the fear that came over me about what I did, you know, well, now here we go again. So they didn't let me out for about 3 days because they thought I had a concussion. Nobody was coming to get me at this point, 22 years old. They they asked me, you know, um can I get some? I asked them for a piece of letter and a piece of paper and pencil. And I wrote a letter to a guy about that long, just showing, here I am again, stuck in Pinellas County Jail. I don't know how I got here. And I sent it. He never got it. But there was a moment of clarity, just a moment of clarity, you know, of, well, here I am. Well, I didn't drink for about 3 days, 4 days, not because I didn't want to, because I couldn't get it.
Well,
And it reminded me of a story. One time I got arrested and I had a doobie still in my pocket and the cop never pulled it out.
damn.
And this was when I was like 19. I was in St. Pete. St. Pete used to have a jail down there right by Ferg's. And I remember going, "Oh crap." And the guy in the cell with me goes, or in the next cell over, he goes, "What you got, man?" I was like, "I got a doobie." He goes, "Let's fire it up." And I'm going, "Are you kidding me?" He goes, "What are they gonna do? Arrest us?"
Exactly. That's awesome.
So we smoked a doobie in St. Pete jail, right? And yeah, I said doobie. We smoked doobie, you know.
So I was sober.
And that was a long time ago. I don't even know who he was. I never saw him again after that day. He wasn't with me. He just thought he would happen to be. It was his lucky day. I got arrested with Billy Russ. He still tells that story. Still telling now.
Who's on a different podcast right now?
He is. You'll never forget. You'll never believe what happened at that jail by Ferg's. Yeah.
So I got out of there. I got out of there and I went to see a lawyer. This is where part of this is where I believe in a lot of grace and higher power and stuff like that. I don't know where you guys are with it for me. And I didn't see it this way until years later after I sobered up and came clear. But cleared up some. I'm still the jury's still out whether I got it all together. Yes. I said I looked at the lawyer. He took my case, $2,500 back then, 1980. Wasn't bad, $2,500. He goes, "What'd you do?" I said, "I don't know." I go, "All I know is I got stitches in my head." These stitches popped out of my head. I mean, they did a pretty good job. You can't even hardly see it, you know. If you look close, you can see the scar. And and he said, "Okay, I'll take your case." And as I was leaving, this was the part. I was pulling the door shut. It was that close to being shut. I mean, it was almost shut.
Yeah.
And I pushed it back on. We're sitting in a chair, just like Chris over here. And I'm right at the doorway outside of his office. And I pushed back on. I looked and I go, "You know, I think I might need to do something about my drink." Wow. Where'd that come?
Yeah.
I don't know. He told me, "Okay, we'll get a number for the alcohol referral service from my secretary." So I went out. I says, "Hey, can I get this number?" She gave it to me. I went home. I dialed it up. What's the chance of that we even now? Here's another part. What's the chance of having a working phone in a a party house?
Yep.
And I dialed it up, and it was busy. So now what do I do? Still in that. Now this is the second part. There's a lot of parts of it, but the second part was, I was like, "There's a phone book. Let me look under A's." Never heard of Alcoholics Anonymous. Never thought about stopping. Nothing. I looked, and I swear if my memory's 100% sure, and I could be wrong, but I was almost sure it was in the white pages. I looked under the A's, and I saw Alcoholics Anonymous in the white pages. It was a little bit bigger print.
Yep.
And I called him up. This was in 1982, and the guy answered. He said, "My name's Jake. Isn't that weird?" I still remember his name. 1112 Central Avenue, the St. Pete group. It's still going on down there. St. Pete group. It's still going on. This is 82.
That's awesome.
And it's been in like a couple different homes now. They're not in the same place. Not homes, but I mean different places.
Yeah, locations. Yeah.
And so I said, "Let me," I went in there. I said, "Hey," he goes, "I'll get you a free cup of coffee." And I'm like, maybe free. I'll take it. Because everything else, all my money went to drinking. You know what I mean? But if you're going to give me a coffee. So I went down there. He says, "Go sit. Here's your coffee. Go sit down." I went and sit down, and there was two speakers. And this is why I think it's important to have identification meetings. It's important, really, to have ID meetings. You know, a lot of people I don't like speaker meetings. Very important.
Yeah.
So,
I've never heard them called identification meetings before.
yeah, ID. Yeah, well, I get to a lot of meetings. I mean, I'll speak language from all over the world, like it's brilliant, because I'm from England. No, I'm not really from England, but I speak English or Spanglish or Crackerish, whatever you want to call it.
St. Petish.
St. Peter's, there you go. I like it. So I said, the first guy, no, I'm looking around. But the second guy, he said everything that I needed to hear, and my mind cracked again. I heard him talk about waking up with strange people in strange places. Where'd the money go? Where'd the car go? I lost the car.
Yeah.
What happened? How'd I get two flat tires on the right-hand side? But he'd lost a lot more. But up to that point, I could identify exactly. And I'm like, man, maybe I could learn from this guy. And so they give chips out, as y'all know, in AA, and they said, and at the end, anybody want a white chip? It was a long room, chairs on each side, right up the center. I was sitting in the back by the door. The speaker was all the way up at the top. We always sit by the
Thought about the other day at the Arizona meeting. Yeah.
back against the wall, And so I said, "Yeah, I'll take one." I went up, and some people might not like what I'm going to say, but I'm just going to say, this is what the guy told me. I got the chip. I turned around, spun around, and said, "This is what happened to me." And they go, "You go sit down and shut up. We'll talk to you after the meeting."
Sweet.
That's what they told me. 1982. I had a discussion this morning with some people on a Zoom meeting about that, because people still will do that.
Yeah.
Say that new people shouldn't share, or you just need to learn to listen. It's okay to share a little bit. And, I just told them, we're trying to get the solution, not the problem. And it's okay if someone needs to share. I get that. Take them outside. We'll talk to you after the meeting. We got a parking lot meeting, all that. And I'm not going to shut someone down who's struggling or crying or hurting. You know what I mean? But it's a good point. I mean, we get compassion in this program. We have language of the heart, and we know, again, there's one of those promises, which is one of my favorites. They're all great. Is we intuitively know how to handle situations used to baffle us.
Yeah, I definitely think that people need to be counseled a little bit, especially if they have no etiquette whatsoever, and it's okay to do it in a loving way. I like the black belt stuff too. Sometimes depends on the person. Sometimes you got to swing a different bat for some people need a different message.
Right. Well, when you start hearing stuff that isn't in AA also,
Sure.
then in there in an AA meeting, and I mean, has AA got watered down or changed? In my heart, I think AA is still the same if people are speaking from the language of the heart. That's only my opinion, and I have to say too, anything that I'm saying today may just be, it's my opinion. If I didn't hear it in the book or whatever, I still go to meetings. Like I got to meet this year while I was in North Carolina, 3 people of over 50 years of sobriety. Wow, in weddings. So I go to a lot. Mason and Sybil came up and visited me when I was in North Carolina.
I can't talk to Mason until he gets to 50.
He's 40.
Yeah.
I said, listen, dude, I respect your 49, but when you get to 50, give me a call.
Right. And knock him down a notch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that guy.
Yeah. So I went to meetings and the guy told me two things very important. This important part of my recovery is always talk to the new guy. Yeah, always. That's more important than anything else. If you're in a meeting and someone's new, you don't recognize them, it's your home group, you better put your hand out. I don't want to care about you hanging out with your buddies. Get over there and talk to that guy. Yeah. And if I'm not doing it, it's only because I've seen someone beat me to him, or one of my sponsors is over there talking.
Yep. Stuff.
Yep. Yep. Primo says that all the time.
It's important.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
Old school.
He also says if there is a new guy, we're supposed to read how it works.
Absolutely. And my sponsor, I have a sponsor now, but my sponsor died previous to that. He said, I've had 3 sponsors that have died. All died sober.
Cool.
And he said that's the most important part of the meeting. Really, is how it works. Because you're going to get everybody else's opinion or story or whatever, but how it works tells you how it works.
Yeah.
Very important.
I lost my sponsor.
Yeah. So
Yeah, man.
Oh, I cried like a baby.
Dude, I looked at my phone and I didn't even realize I was at they were eulogizing him. A bunch of the sponsees were there and I was just like, and I was looking at my phone. I'm like, my phone is no longer, it's useless now. You know what I mean? Like, it was such an important answer of all things mysterious. Any problem I had, the phone was going to give me the answer. I mean, obviously it's a great tool in our lives today, but man, it was just, my phone wasn't the same after he passed. I'm like, shit, this thing is, I was like, it was kind of a weird thing come over me. My sponsor was definitely on the Mount Rushmore of Tampa AA. He was one of them cats. So good. So solid.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That hurts, man.
Yeah. You feel, and that's the thing, we get our feelings back,
Sure.
We get our feelings back. And it's the good news and the bad news,
Yeah.
both. And, when they say we feel better, they say, oh, you get sober, you feel better. No, you feel better.
Yeah.
So because the booze worked, let's admit it. The booze and the stuff worked until it didn't for this alcoholic, and I like to say I'm a feel-good junkie, right?
Right.
I don't know, there I said the word junkie, sorry guys, but I'm a feel-good guy. I like to feel good, right?
Yeah.
And so if I'm going to AA and I feel good, why would I stop?
Yeah.
Right? Why would I stop?
Right.
Yeah.
And so I continue to go. But recently, I don't know, in the last few years, I realized it wasn't really alcohol. I used to like to feel good from the alcohol. Alcohol didn't really make me feel good. It made me not feel,
Yeah.
and you guys probably already knew that. It took me a little bit longer. I'm a slow burner, slow turner,
So wait a minute. How many years of sobriety are we talking here?
before I figured that out, or how many do I have right now?
Where you at?
I have 41, 41 and a half years. You get over 40, you start doing the halves. No, not real.
Yeah. I know. I pick up a chip for the entire 30 days, you know?
Of it, yeah.
Yeah, I'm everywhere.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
I'm everywhere. He's at every meeting in town.
I'm patting myself on the back all the way up to the fucking chip.
And then he goes to the casino and tries to play him.
Right. I ended up I did get the award though in Pinellas County though for the most humble guy in AA.
Wow. Do you have any speaker tapes about your humility or any books?
Well,
Anything you could autograph?
I did get I got the medallion, and then I wore it on my neck, and then they took it away. It goes, that way your humbleness. And I don't usually speak about humility unless there's like 500 people in the room. There's got to be at least 500, or I won't speak about humility.
Yeah, I have a book coming out.
Okay.
Yeah, you both are very humble. I love it.
Hey, listen, my buddy Ed used to say, "I'm just another bozo on the bus," and I got to remember that. And again, I'm hoping that God's speaking through me today about being a power message for someone who's struggling, whether they're struggling with a lot of sobriety or very little, or not even know whether they want to be in AA or what's AA about. I mean, AA is really the people who are in it at any given time. I mean, it's set of principles and the 12 steps, but too, when you go in them rooms, who's there? Who's there?
Dude, I got to tell you, I've recycled this program so many times, but there have been days when I feel like I need to go pick up a white chip and I haven't had anything to drink. Like I am that distraught, or I think so little of myself. And then there's other days I think about myself all day long, but there's the balance of, and that's the difference between, 6 months or a year sobriety versus, decades, is the balance comes a little easier, I guess, or the solution. I know where the solution is, to maybe a specific issue. Like I know how to find a little bit more happiness, a little easier, and I'm not afraid to ask for help. That humility or the pride that got in the way, and the uncool thing that we experience because we're cool. We don't want to do the uncool thing.
Well, we got years of sobriety and we can't let people know. Oh my God, the guy's got 33 years and he's falling apart. What the heck?
Right.
And I went through something at 33 years sober.
Really?
And it was some personal relationship stuff, and I don't, need to go into the graphics of that, but it hurt. I was ate up. I was tore up. And you know what? I'm in a meeting at the dry dock, and is it okay to mention meetings here?
Yeah. You mentioned the do more than motherfuckers.
It ain't now anyway, so
We're gonna edit anything out.
anything that you don't like, I have to say, but what, you don't like anything, everything I say? What the heck? No, I'm messing with you.
This has been great so far.
So-
Actually,
So I was in there, and so this girl comes up to me and she goes, "Oh my gosh," she says, "Thank you so much for showing that you can have years of sobriety and still hurt and still go through pain, because we got to show that."
Yeah.
And not saying that there's a time to share. Someone said, "Do you share your misdemeanors at the meetings, and your felonies with your sponsor?" And I just heard that recently. Sounds good. That's what we do, is pick up something else. If you're gonna say this is a copycat program, you just got to find the right guy to copy. This all, and I love little sayings that are in AA, and I take them and run with them. Get a dose of vitamin AA every day. Get a checkup from the neck up. All this stuff. But
stick with the winner.
sometimes people are like, "I don't want to hear that. I want to hear real."
Yeah.
I want to hear real. But I ended up going to 80, back to the story of how I got here. He's like, "Well, how'd you get here?" So I went to 80 meetings in 8. Well, the guy told me, I know where I was, backing up a little bit. The guy shook my hand and he said, "Welcome." He says, so you think you're an alcoholic?" And I go, "Oh yeah, I know I'm an alcoholic."
Yeah.
First meeting. He said, "So how often you drink?" And I thought that was a stupid question. I go, "I drink every day." I wouldn't. Well,
I'm not playing around
yeah,
there.
I drink every day. Is there any other way to drink? I thought that was really, truly And, if you're an alcoholic, don't you drink every day? And not every, and again, if you're out there wondering, well, I don't drink every day, so I must not be one. That's not the way it is. I heard a good one this morning. If you're in college, you can't be an alcoholic. I heard that this morning. Never heard it in a meeting before. You can't be an alcoholic until after, if you're still drinking after college, you might be an alcoholic. But if you're an alcoholic, you're in college, you're not an alcoholic. I was like, well, I never heard that before.
Me neither. It must have been a college kid.
Well, they were 2 years out of college and they were still drinking. So I said, well, I guess I better start taking heed, But you never know what I heard an old guy with 50-something years on a speaker meeting. That's when I goes, now remember, he goes, it's sobriety. Old guy, I mean, raspy voice. It's sobriety, and it starts with S-O-B. And I'm thinking, what's that? What's he gonna go next? And he goes, stay off booze.
Oh,
And I'd never heard that.
no.
That was this year. I heard that. You hear stuff. You still hear stuff that are like, wow, that's cool. I like that. I'll take it.
I've been really, I mean, I've been going to a lot more meetings since I moved, and this guy asked me to start a podcast.
Right.
And I was like,
So far, so good.
yeah, 2-3 meetings a week was my thing. And, and I was good. I had a squad. I had a good support group, everything, sponsored eyes, hurricane blows all my shit up. I move, I get married, and I'm like, now I'm like going to like 5 or 6 meetings. I might be too sober, I think, but I've been going to like 5 or 6 meetings a week, and you know what? I'm hearing, and I'm back in it. I'm like, it's such an awesome thing that it's, you always get the time and a half. Whatever work you get paid, when you do work, you get paid time and a half. And yes, I like to see
You love that. He says it every show.
Yeah, I do.
It's pretty
But it's true. We get paid time and a half. And, and I just love the discovery of new people and new things. And I told my wife, I said, she's like, you're really going to a lot of meetings, because I wasn't going to that many meetings when we first met. And now I'm like, and I'm networking again, and I'm meeting new people. And, it's weird because you have time, and I show up in that ridiculous vehicle, and people are like, who's this jerk? You know what I mean? And maybe I come off a little slick sometimes, but I love the fact that I can go in and meet people, and it's all brand new.
You reignited an old meeting of yours too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. He had a meeting that him and some guys did for 20 years, and they disbanded a little bit. Now he put it back together.
Well, the wizard meeting, we call it the wizard meeting. There were some guys that didn't necessarily want to share in a public forum that needed a meeting.
Right.
So we kind of got together once a month. We call it the sponsees will call it the wizard meeting.
Right.
Like, where are you going? Oh, so we're going to a meeting. What meeting you went to? Well, so invitation.
Wizard meeting.
Yeah, they were a little salty about it.
Right.
But I'm glad you put it back together, because you were missing it, talking about networking. And
I did it last night, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I've been to some of those secret society ones where you got to know the secret handshake, and that one, everybody there had over 45 years.
Wow.
And there were 6 guys there, but one guy didn't show up, and you know what happened?
They talked about him.
He died. Yeah. I was just like, these guys are old, So, you got, how do you get old, don't die, and, how do you become an old timer, And so I ended up, and the guy said a couple other things. He said, alcoholism is a disease. And he said, the AMA says that, not just AA. He said, we knew it before AA did, or before they did, but AMA, at this time, they were just starting to say that.
The medical.
Yeah, American. And so I'm like, and he goes, so then what they say is it's progressive and it's terminal.
Yeah.
And then he goes, he could tell I was a little pie-eyed, long hair, beard. I mean, much like I look today, but he goes, it means it's progressive and it's terminal, means if you don't do something, that only gets worse, it's going to kill you. And I was 4 days dry from being locked up.
Yeah.
And then listened to him. And I walked out of it, and I went, and then he said, come tomorrow. And I said, I don't know. And, 90 and 90, I don't know what that meant. And he also said another thing. And if you go down to 1112 Central Avenue to their meeting down there, it's called the St. Pete Group. There's an old school, 12 steps and 12 traditions. And I told Detroit Lou this, and he couldn't, he was like, yeah, right. And it says, we're powerless over alcohol. And then it goes ... And then it says, "In our lives have become unmanageable." He goes, he took me over to him. He goes, "See that? Them dots?" He goes, "Your eyes are a little fuzzy." He says, "But that says in all other drugs, right? In other drugs, right?" And he said, "You can't do the marijuana maintenance. You can't do any other drugs." He was pretty emphatic. But well, I went, the bottom line of it is I went to 80 meetings, 80 days. I didn't do the steps. I was too focused. I was messed up. I was screwed up. Didn't know there were steps. Didn't know anything.
So you didn't go to treatment?
No.
God, no, he didn't go to treatment either. You know, when I went to treatment, they took my cologne away from me. I'm like, had I known that was a problem, I was like, you know, I could probably still drink because I never drank cologne.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I got me another couple of years out there.
Yeah.
They took
Yeah.
my cologne away.
Yeah. So no treatment for me. 80 days, 80 meetings. I didn't drink in between. So that's the least that I ate. Going to meetings and not drinking does for you. And I went to a wedding and I toasted and I went on a run. I had one glass of champagne. Boom, I was on a run. I ran 10 more months, give or take. And then, but I came to the real jumping off point where I stopped drinking. This came to my sobriety date. I was tore up inside.
Yeah.
I'm an iron worker, tough guy, fell off some buildings and all that. So what? Sew me up, you know, patch it back together, whatever. Yeah. Grab a piece of hot iron that'll, you know, someone else would say, "You ain't touching that." I mean, my hands were like leather back in the day. And and I was tore up inside. I was in a room full of people partying and I was all alone in my head. I felt so alone. And I knew those guys in AA. Every once in a while when I have a hangover or something, I used to never get sick, but it was getting progressively worse. So I started commode hugging more, playing to the porcelain god, missing a little bit of work, sleeping through, blacking outs more. And I don't want to talk about waking up with strange people with strange women, but that was happening, you know. And where am I? Literally walking out and not knowing what city I was in. Not that I ever went on any long ones, you know, but I used to know where I was, and I'd have to go out and walk maybe a block or two, find out where I was. But I ended up, someone knew I was in AA, had went out and said that if you ever want to go again. And I went back to an AA meeting, 24 years old, just 24, March 31st, 1984. I haven't found it necessary to pick up a drink or a drug. And they said, "You're shaking pretty bad. Welcome. Go shake hands."
Sweet.
Oh, nice.
I shook hands for a month and a half.
Nice.
And then they said, "You quit shaking, go make coffee." And I made coffee. And I made coffee for over a year at that group. And it was the big pot. So there was a saying, you don't hear it as much. You still hear it around a little bit, is I have to act my way into good thinking. I can't think my way into good action.
Oh, nice.
And so that's what they were getting me to, it's suit up and show up, and you might show up later. How many times have we gone to a meeting and not heard what someone said? How many times it takes us 20 minutes into the meeting before we really show up at the meeting? We're sitting there. Mine might be thinking about something else.
I still do that.
So, exactly.
And I hate myself for it.
Yeah.
I get so frustrated. I'm like, you're so self-centered. And I can't get down. I'm actually getting ready to pick up a white chip just by thinking about.
I definitely got a thinking problem. Yeah.
I can't stop thinking about other stuff, you know, and I want to be present. And you know what? When we put these headphones on, I'm like here, 100%. For whatever reason, this has like been a cure for me. I'm like, whoa, I don't just have to walk around with them all the time now. But
As long as your wife's not trying to talk to you,
oh my God,
then you're in trouble.
you know, me and her are funny like that. But there are times where like when I know when I have to dial the modulator into the right frequency, so I'm picking her up perfectly. And there's other times it's just not coming in, but I have to dial that in because when she needs me, she needs me. You know what I mean? And that's the gift is being sober, is being accountable, man. I love to be dependent upon.
Right.
I love that. I love that I'm not going to let somebody down.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
And as you stay sober and do that, and when you jump back to the meeting thing, okay, I'm a meeting guy. Okay.
Okay.
I go to meetings constantly. Yeah. Almost, you know, my friend Linda, she's got, 45 years, whatever. She goes over to the Weaver Park. She goes, "You're high on meetings again." You know, I went to listen to a new couple guys speak over at the back porch. And, the one guy was up there and I'd known him for years and he was just coming back. And I thought he had 20 something years and he's like, "I got 20 days." or at this time he had about 3 months. He was still kind of shaking and baking a little bit, but they asked him to speak because he had a good message because he'd been around so long. I remember seeing him years and years ago.
Sure.
And I go, well, you got this. And then at the end, I go, listen, if you don't, I'm sitting here. Just focus on me, whatever. If you don't, I got your back.
Right.
He spoke for 5 minutes. He says, Lou, get up here. Someone else spoke, and then he spoke. He said, Lou, come up here, take the rest of it. That's all I got. And I've been over Sunday Night Live, and the first speaker shows up, speaks, and then the guy who's in charge comes up with my second speaker just called, ain't gonna make it. Can you make it? And you go up there. Hey, I'm willing to get up and share, not because of my ego, because I know that's what my purpose is. I love AA because two things. It gives us a code, love and tolerance, right?
Yeah.
And it also gives us a purpose. It tells us our real purpose is to be a maximum service to God and the people about us. The most maximum service I'm going to be to anybody is from having an experience of being sober, and experience of being a drunk. That's just my life. I'm sorry, and I do go to a lot of meetings. There's 5 meetings in Bryson City where I bought a house. I go to every one of them. And one's at noon, 2 are at noon, one's at 5:30, one's at 6:30, one's at 7 at night.
You've earned that opportunity, but when you're going through the building of family and business, and there's a part of our sobriety, where there's this, hey, we got to go out and catch up on some life stuff too, and get and I know that you're a businessman, and I had to go out and get an education, and that my life was so full, and it was amazing how much I could accomplish without having to spend my time chasing women in the bars till the early morning, and waking up next to whatever, and that whole lifestyle. Like, it was crazy how great and productive of a person I could be.
Yes. And I still have to say that I'm a member of the No Matter What Club.
Yes.
Okay. And you hear that. It was no matter what, I don't drink. But then no matter what, as the 301 group has on the wall, priorities of life. Have you been there?
No.
Okay. Take a trip over there if you want to. You'll come out of there grateful.
Yeah.
The walls are sitted up. It's pretty rough. It's a rough neighborhood, but the sobriety's great.
Yeah.
That the one in downtown Clearwater off
yeah.
Fort Harrison?
Yes.
Dude, I went to 301 back on the hill.
Okay, so
And it's right.
and they still have the plaque. It's crocheted or something, and it says priorities of life. Number 1, sobriety. Number 2, everything else. And I've been from that school. That's the school I was brought up in.
Oh yeah.
And I know second things second, third things third. Yeah. And if you have kids and all that and listen, I was a scout leader, I went to, imagine me with a little outfit on, I look kind of sexy, but, the girls liked it. And, got to be careful because all the moms are in there, but, not to be, it is what it is. But
It's rough.
it's a tough program. Yeah. But I've always kept sobriety number 1. And people have asked, how did you become so successful? And I didn't have a list going, I'm going to have this, or I'm going to be here, I'm going to be this, I'm going to stay sober today. And the rest of it is taking care of itself. It's amazing for this alcohol.
Sure.
I'm not saying that's going to happen to everybody,
Right.
but for this guy, that's what has always been number 1. And yeah, you got a relationship, you got to work at a relationship, and when it comes to relationships, the biggest one is the one you have with yourself. If you don't have a good relationship with yourself, you can cut all the rest of them out. They're done.
Yeah.
It's funny. I bought
Good advice.
one of those damn electric scooters that go about 35 miles an hour. And I was like, I might need a helmet. Because maybe I give a shit now. You know what I mean? And I had literally thought that. I'm like, I need a helmet. 1, because I'm a little crazy, which is good. But 2, I want to be dependent on. I don't want to hurt myself and have to be, God forbid, I have to ask for help or something,
Right.
I know.
Well, I don't know what we're doing for time.
I'll be
here.
keeping my eyes open for you on this.
Okay.
I'm sorry about it. Go dude.
You're doing
so
fine.
So so I ended up getting sober, and I was dry 7 months before I came to. That's how long it took for me to to come to from all the crap that I did. I was the guy who would like, you remember the old commercial, the Life cereal commercial would go, let's get Mikey, he'll eat it. Well, it would be, let's get Lou, he'll try anything. And I ended up in some serious stuff from that, so there was a lot missing up here. And again, like I said,
He
I don't know
likes
how
it.
much
He
it's
likes
that.
it.
Yeah. And let's watch him. Well, and they go, well, one's good. Well, give me two. They used to have these things called Shermans, and it was like a cigarette that was soaked in formaldehyde and jet fuel. And you could smoke those, and you get 3 chokes, and you lose probably about 10,000 brain cells. Who knows what was in them, and just stupid stuff that we did to just get lost, be lost in space. Yeah. I mean, and I don't want to start mentioning names because people start going, oh, let me try that, or let me eat that, or. And so I was like really just a garbage head, whatever I could get to get out of it, but that'll get out of reality. And I ended up, and then I was dry, and I was so amazed when I had a week of sobriety. When I had one day, I was amazed, of like, hey, I'm doing this.
Right.
Because my head was telling me I couldn't go a day without drinking. I did not think that I could go a day without drinking, not because I didn't think physically. My head said, no, you can't do it.
Yeah.
And I grew up and started at 15, all those emotions and all that. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I got a week. I got a month. I was one of them guys who was just like, look at me, I'm not drinking, but I wasn't doing nothing else.
So how did these steps get introduced to you?
So
That's
where I'm going to.
All right.
Okay, so I'm hanging iron,
God.
unloading a truckload of iron. And we're pulling, the big semi comes and loads iron. We're pulling the chains off. And this guy had worked with me when I was drinking. And he says to the truck driver, this guy's an alcoholic. He hadn't had a drink in 6 months. I wish he'd drink a bottle of booze. He's miserable. And I'm thinking, look at me. I'm happy. What's he talking about? And also I was going to, again, this is something important, I think, in sobriety, is to go to different kinds of meetings besides speaker meetings, discussion meetings, literature meetings, big book meetings, step meetings and stuff like that. And I've never been big on the different gender meetings. I've never, like I'm just talking about men's meetings. I never did a lot of men's meetings. I can say all the way through. I've been to them. Don't get me wrong. I've spoken at a couple of them. He hear me speak, like, oh, can you come speak at my group or whatever? But so I'm like, look, but also the state said they thought I was an habitual offender and I had to get evaluated for $50. And the joke was, you give me $50 and I'll show you I'm an alcoholic.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give you $50 to tell me, but I had to anyways. And they said I was, and I was habitual. So I ended up they did have to go to that counseling, like 8 classes, because I had the second DWI and that. I went, and I saw more denial in that class than anything. That was the best thing about that class, because everybody in it was denying they were a problem. I'm going to AA meetings and everybody's denying that they're a problem, and I'm like, they go, how many meetings you go to? I go, well, so I ended up, then that thing happened with the chains, right? And then I had a moment of clarity in the literature, in the big book that said, or in the 12 and 12, it said, if you miss this vital step, you may not overcome drinking.
Yeah.
Now I was starting to get some twinkle in my eye, some snap in my walk, and some jingle in my pocket, right? Because let's face it, the minute that you stop drinking, you usually get a raise. Even if you don't get a raise, you get a raise because you're not spending money on the jacked up stuff. And you're not paying to get out of trouble. You're not buying it, all this.
Where was that? Was that the second step or
That
third step?
that was when I realized everything.
No, the quote that you did. I was trying to remember where that was.
It's right. It's in the 4th and 5th step. If you do not do this,
That's right.
Yeah.
This crucial step. It
Yeah,
must be followed at once.
yeah, if you don't do this step, you may not overcome drinking.
Yep.
And I'm going, what? Wait, I'm liking this. I started out, this is okay. This is okay. This is pretty good. This is really good. This is great. But I still wasn't doing the steps.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I was 6, 7 months sober and I did the steps. And I lived the steps. And I did them. I lived the steps. I still doing the steps today. I'm still making amends to when I make a mistake. I still do a 10-step inventory. I don't do it exactly like they say in the book by doing it every night. Because I do it. I'm sober. I know when I'm doing something wrong.
Right.
Right.
You know when you're doing something wrong, promptly admit it. Not at the end of the day.
If you're making amends every day, then you really got to like maybe to do something that you should have done. Should have taken a character defect out
Right,
too.
right. And I'm just saying, I still make amends if I need to.
Sure.
And so people said they did the steps. If you read the steps, I'm not going to give a step breakdown, but it says we saw it. Okay, you got to do more sawing. I heard an old guy say sawing. Let's do some more sawing. You're just not doing enough sawing. What do you mean sawing? It says improve. We're supposed to improve our conscious contact, right? Not the same as it was last year or 5 years ago. Better than so it's supposed to improve. We're supposed to continue. We're supposed to carry, right? We're supposed to practice. These are all action words. So how can anybody who says they've done the steps? I cringe when people said I did the steps or I've done the steps. Unless they're using it in, they did them and they're still doing them.
They're working them.
Yeah, they're working the steps.
They're a practice.
Yeah, it's practice these principles on all affairs. And if it's too much, just find out what the principles are. Honesty, hope, faith, courage, stuff like that. I mean, today I had an issue with honesty. I mean, guy's sober 40 years and I had an issue with honesty. But if you don't stay honest, you'll be back to the point where you'll tell yourself the biggest lie.
Yep.
The biggest lie. And you know what it is? That I can drink again. So, today I had to go back and straighten something out because it's kind of one of them sin of omissions. Yeah,
Sure.
right. I realized the guy didn't charge me for something that I bought.
Oh.
And I was like, oh wow, oh shit, and I actually drove back and I'm not gonna go whether I was coming here tonight or not, I wasn't gonna live with it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I was in there and the guy didn't make it like it was a big deal. Wow, so nice of you or anything like that. He goes, oh, okay, I appreciate you bringing it back. And I paid for it, so it doesn't matter. The stuff, lifey. People are going to piss you off. You might accidentally flip the bird to somebody. I haven't done that in a while. I was speaking one time 5 years ago. I haven't flipped the bird in 2 years. The next day I was flipping the bird at some guy, and so you be careful about what you say, when you start giving yourself a pat on the back. And when you're speaking of practice, like this flute, okay, that I put in here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm on a mountain in Sedona, and I hear this guy climbs up on top of a mountain, and he pulls out this flute, and he plays this beautiful flute music. And he goes, "This is for peace on earth," and he plays this unbelievable. I mean, I'm like, cool. He's up 25 feet up on this red rock. It's in a canyon. And the vortex is out there where the energy's flowing. You guys probably know all about that, but that's out in Sedona. If you haven't been there, you go there and you go,
I've been there.
and so I'm like, that's cool. So then he played one for, peace to love and mankind. And so, they're nice for me. So he came down and he gave out these little red hearts that he carved out of red rock. And he hit him out, just a cool cat, right? And I'm like, well, I'd love to be able to play that. Thanks a lot, man. So I go into town and they're selling these little tiny flutes about this big. Same thing as this, but tiny, about like a cigar. And I go, well, I'm on vacation. I can drop a couple bucks. So I buy one. It's $40. And then lady goes, we'll give you a free lesson. So she gives me a lesson. It takes about 2 seconds. She just goes up the scale and down the scale and goes, here, go try it.
Yeah.
So if you're a musician, you can understand that, right? And I'm like, what? And she goes, just do that until it sounds good. And I did that. And, eventually it took a week. And it's harder to play a little flute than a bigger flute because it's more spiky and pitchy.
Mm-hmm.
And I got it. And then I started buying flutes. Well, at one point I had 25 flutes. I'm an alcoholic, so I did learn how to play the flute. I'll play a quick one for you. And I got one I play sometimes, and it's about letting go. Okay. If you got something like that you're holding on to, in your childhood or, just something that just today's eating your lunch. We all have stuff, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And so I can't play a tune. I can't play anything. Okay. I can play the flute, but I can't play Amazing Grace. I can't play anything. But I came up with this one run. I just kind of made it up in my head. And I think that if you listen to it close enough, you'll hear the flute say, let it go, let it go, let it go, and let it go. So, and I've done it with people, and people can sometimes hear it, but it's only people with open minds. So I don't know if you guys will work. But we're going to try it.
Let's do
All
it.
right. So don't be offended if you don't hear it. I mean,
I had a poster of Jethro Tull in
Okay.
my room growing up, so I'm open minded. I can deal with the flute.
everybody always goes, can you play any Tull? I mean, that's when everybody says, I go, if I could play some Tull, I probably wouldn't be talking to you.
Right.
But this is the tune. So I'm just gonna run a little tune, and then at the end I'll just say listen and see if you can hear it. All right. And
Okay.
you might be let go, let it go, or let it go, let it go, whatever. You just keep your mind open. And if you close your eyes, and you open them, all your stuff's missing. I'm sorry, you guys took the bait.
Where's my wallet? All
Uh,
right, let's do this.
It's
wow. That was really good.
Well,
I feel it.
I'm I got an image to uphold here, and I'm bro. That was cool, man.
Thank you, Lou. That was really cool.
pleasure.
Nice.
That's
That's a perfect segue. Here on Sober Shenanigans, we do a celebrity quote every show.
Hmm.
And for Lou, the musically inclined, today's quote is from David Bowie. David Bowie got sober in 1993, and he stayed that way until he passed away in 2016. And what David Bowie said was, "One day I realized that I really needed to stop losing myself in my work and in my addictions. What happens is you just wake up one morning and feel absolutely dead. You can't even drag your soul back into your body. You feel you have negated everything that is wonderful about life. When you have fallen that far, it feels like a miracle when you regain the love of life." David Bowie. Nice.
love him, man.
Love it.
Love it. Oh, my brother turned me on to Jethro Tull and David Bowie.
Yeah, and speaking of the joys of life, I mean, for me, every day is a joy. People ask me almost on a regular basis, and it don't matter where I am. We say, "Hey, how you doing?" Whatever. You go in the post office. "How you doing?" "I'm doing great." "Why you great?" "I'm stoked." They go, "Why you stoked? What's going on? Why you so stoked?" I go, "I'm stoked because I'm alive
Yeah.
and I'm sober." And I don't always throw the sober thing in there. I just say I'm stoked, because we don't realize how much of a gift it is until we don't have it. That's what we find out. That's like sobriety. And I've been on a real roll lately with a lot of meetings, and I've met so many people who've had sobriety and lost it
Right.
and
Yeah.
come back.
Yeah.
And I just listened to a speaker meeting the other day, and the guy was, I would give him the Mr. AA award because he started leadings, he was running things, doing treatment centers, doing everything, and he got away, and his life got better. And he moved out of a small town community, moved up into Seattle, and started hanging out with some people with, upper echelon, whatever you want to call them, people with businesses. They were drinking. He was seeing them. He wasn't drinking. And he had a drug addiction also. And he said, "Well, I think I can drink safely now." And within a year, he was ripping and roaring, ripping and roaring. He told himself the biggest con was, "Well, I think I'm just gonna grow some marijuana plants in the backyard because I think they look cool."
They sure do.
Never said ever. No one's ever said that before.
Yeah.
They look cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, they smell great too, and they taste excellent, is what he was going to say after that.
Yeah. And then he said I was smoking it. And I heard that early on in sobriety. I'll tell you a couple things that really helped me stay sober in the beginning. 2 things. Well, one is the fact that it's not cool. It's not always cool what happens, right? But I got sober and I did live in the steps and doing the deal, working out of town. And I got a call that my dad died. And I was in Miami down there and I had to come home here. And I just got done working 10 hours. I was going in the shower and I'd been going to a meeting. I didn't have a driver's license for 5 years now.
Right.
I didn't have a driver's license for almost 5 years in sobriety. Well, 1 year of it I was drinking, but, so I'd called central office and they hooked me up with a guy and he told me, "Don't call central office anymore." He came, got me, took me to the meeting, says, "Don't call them anymore. I got you. You just call me. Here's my number and I'll come pick you up." So staying in the hotel, whatever. He picked me up every day when I was in town. Every day I went to a meeting when I was in town.
Wow.
And when I worked there every night, so I was going to a meeting that night. So I was a little over a year sober. I was in it. Then AA, I'm doing the deal. And when I got the news, I went in the shower and see AA taught me I could feel. And I went in the shower and I just stood in the shower. I think I maybe sat down in the shower for a while and I cried like a baby. I mean, cried. Make me want to cry now how much I cried, how much I love my dad. He did get to see me sober. He died at 53 years old.
It's awesome.
And I went to a meeting that night.
Young.
I went to a meeting and I walked out and I looked up and I had a relationship with a higher power by then. And I went, "He's okay. He's okay. He's okay." And I went to the meeting. I walked in the meeting. I was still tore up, but I was okay. And the guy picked me up. I shared with him. I went in the meeting and I shared. And there was a guy there who was at the meeting when I shared it. And I'd given him a white chip maybe a month before. And he didn't think he could stay sober. I grabbed him. Of course, I grabbed him at his first meeting, gave him his chip, talked to him afterwards for 20 minutes. He said, "I can't stay sober." No way. I said, "Yeah, you can." He said, "Well, no, because of this." He had some physical ailment, something that you could physically see on it. And I go, "Don't worry about that. Just come back tomorrow." And he came back. So he called me. Job got done. I went home. I buried my dad. We buried my dad, and everything's okay. And I was there for my sister and my brother. And a year later, I get a call from him. He says, "Hey, man, it's Richard from down here in Fort Lauderdale." I go, "Who?" And he says, "You gave me my white chip." I go, "Oh, cool." And he goes, "I want you to know something you said at that very first meeting made me come back and made me stay sober, right? It helped me stay sober." And I go, "I didn't do anything, but something, I reached out, you know, believe me, I'm not trying to make it about me, but just as to what this program can give you, the ability to help other people." And so I ended up giving him a white chip and also sharing with him. And he told me he had a year and he said, "Thank you." We ended up 3 years later, fast forward 3 years, 3.5 years, I go down there because someone had ran into this building that we built. They wanted me to go down there and fix it. I was going to be there one day. I go down there for one day, spend the night, go to find a meeting. And this was before you could find it real easy. You didn't know how to find meetings. You had to and I'm not a techie guy, as you all know. I'm not a techie. I'm an iron worker. So I go, all right. So I go to the meeting and who do I see? Richard. I get my coffee. I'm walking to go sit down. I see him. He gets up, sees me, and walks. We meet in the middle of the room. It was like, boom, and he looks at me, goes, "Hey, you remember me?" And I go, "Yeah, your name's Richard." And he goes, "Yeah, you're Lou." He goes, "I'm from Florida, or St. Pete." I go, "Yeah, yeah." He goes, "You just helped me a whole lot, man, like 2 months ago." I go, "What? How did I help you? I haven't been here in 3 years." He goes, "My dad died."
Mm.
And he said, "I went straight to the bar, four Jack Daniels, lined up on the bar. I was going to get drunk. I couldn't take the pain. And he said he had a flashback of a guy named Lou who came in with less than a year and a half after his dad died, came straight to a meeting, same day, and didn't drink. If that guy can do it with a year and a half, I should be able to do it with 3.5 years.
Sweet.
Wow.
He said he slid him across away from me, got him, he went to a meeting, he's still sober.
That's all.
That's great.
So the message is we never know when we're going to share at a meeting and help somebody. Never. We never know. We never know, you know. And then that was one of the things that was very powerful. And when I tell that story, I started telling a little bit more. When I was sober over 30 years, I was in Ozona meeting on a Father's Day Sunday, which is always on Sunday, right? Ozona that I go to, that's kind of my home group that I go to. I also, Weaver Park, I helped start that. And,
Cool.
in Bryson City, I have a home group in Bryson City also. But someone said something and I said something about my dad and I started crying like a baby.
Cool.
Crying like a baby, you know. At 30-something years sober, 30 years after my dad died, you never know what's still locked up inside of us. It's appealing. They say, you know, appealing and healing, and feeling and healing and all this. And it's still, and now I think it's joy, and still there's some missing because he didn't get to see my kids. He never got to see, you know, them. My daughters get married in 10 days.
Congratulations. That's
28 years old. She's never seen me drunk or stoned. My son just got married in December. He's never saw me drunk or stoned, you know. And they're all their friends know I'm in the program. So maybe I'll touch someone's life that way. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, and they drink a little, and I just have to be okay with that.
You might be the only big book somebody ever sees. You know I was going to say.
No, I didn't know you were going to say that. I really didn't, but I've heard it for sure. I've heard that once before, just once. No, but and then the other thing I'd like to share, and this was very, very powerful. That really, it's a powerful share that I'm going to say for me. Maybe not you. For me, it was. I went. I got called. We were on the list, if the 12-step list back in the day. And they still have 12-step calls.
I was 12-stepped, okay?
Okay, so you know where I'm coming. So I get a call, and it's from the hospital. There's someone in the hospital. They want to talk. I said, okay. So we go down there. We get some pamphlets. Yeah, go down there. We get to the room. We find the aisle and all the room. We walk in, and this guy looks at us, and he goes, "Who are you?" We go, "We're from AA." He goes, "Well, what are you doing here?" "Well, this is the room." "Nope, I don't want to talk to you. Leave." And I'm looking, he's got this big pillow on his belly. And I'm thinking, well, why has he got a pillow on his belly? Well, so we're walking out the door. As we walk out the door, here comes a lady with a cup of coffee. And she goes, "Oh, hi, how you doing?" And we go, "Well, we're a little bit mixed up. We don't know where we're supposed to be." And she goes, "Who are you?" I go, "We're from AA." She, "Come in, come in, come in." As soon as we came in, you see the guy roll his eyes. Right? Like, oh, geez. He thought he dodged the bullet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He thought he dodged the bullet because we don't want to talk about it, right?
Sure.
So we start talking. We share a little. He goes, "You guys are in your 20s. You're not alcoholics. What makes you think you're an alcoholic?" So we identified a little bit. Well, usually if you have problems and you drink related to the problems, could be a chance you're an alcoholic. Well, I don't think. My buddy used to hide his in the toilet sink, and this, that, and the other, tank and this. I'm not an alcoholic. And he says, "I don't have any problem." Now I see he's got cirrhosis of the liver on his chart. And it's not a pillow, it's a belly, right? But it was weird because he wasn't yellow. Usually they get real yellow when you get that.
Jaundice.
And I've seen that before. I've seen people yellower than yellow, but this guy wasn't that yellow, as I remember, but he had this huge extended belly, like like a pregnant woman. And I'm like, "Well, what about this?" And he goes, "Well, this is the first time." And then his wife goes, "Well, you were here for pancreatitis the year before. And the year before that, something else." Well, you don't overextend. If the guy doesn't want you to be there, you leave your number. His wife kept elbowing him. "We'll come get you, take you to a meeting." He kind of nodded. He wasn't all enthusiastic. We left him the literature, our phone number, and we left. Right? And so 10 days go by. I don't think nothing about it. I get a phone call. I still don't remember the lady's name. I'm not going to use it, but pretty common name. And she's, "This is Mrs. So-and-so." I'm like, "Who?" She goes, "You came down." I didn't even know what her last name was when I went down there, right? And I go, who? She says, you came down and spoke to my husband at Humana Hospital on 38th Avenue. I still remember where it was, right here in town, 38th Avenue. And I said, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Now I'm excited. I'm going to take this guy to a meeting. Right. And she goes, oh, well, come get him. She says, no, I want to thank you for coming down and talking to him. But he didn't check out.
Hmm.
And I'm like, what? Like, I'm only sober a year and a half.
Right.
A year and a quarter, maybe. My dad hadn't passed away yet. And I went, oh, now what does that tell you? What does that tell you? It tells you this guy was on his deathbed. He had a chance to maybe find out a little bit about AA. He was still denying that he was an alcoholic. Now I feel like I have the same disease that he has. I don't know if you guys do, but talk about some gratitude. And I try to share that once in a while, and maybe I'll throw that in on a speaker lead or something. That if you've made it to the doors of Alcoholics Anonymous, what are you going to do with it? Because there's people who have never made it.
We are the chosen.
Wow.
Blessed. We are blessed.
Well, that's when there's a YouTube out there about addiction. They're the chosen ones and all that. I like it. Yeah, we're blessed. I don't like to say that we're when the God that I understand, and I don't want to get into politics or religion or anything.
Sure.
But I think he looks down evenly on all of us. Evenly. I don't think there's any judgment, and I try not to judge instead of, but that's a tricky thing about AA. They tell you not to judge, right?
Sure.
But then they say stick with the winners. So
got to take that inventory sometime.
Yeah. So, but that was very powerful in my sobriety. And I know I'm kind of bouncing around, throwing all kinds of stories. I told you I'm a storyteller. I got lucky. I got another blessing in sobriety: service work.
Yes.
And service work's 3 sides, right? You can be super service and not doing the other. Usually you're gonna be messed up. Or you can be doing one or the two or the three. A triangle isn't strong until it gets all 3 of them equal. One can be real. I met people that back in the day when I was sober 3 or 4 years, I would go, they're never gonna drink. And they drank because they were toting new people around to meetings and picking them up and doing step work. And they weren't getting something. They missed something. It's 3: unity, recovery, and service. It's all 3 of them. And I had this service commitment I got. And I don't know how I got it. I don't even remember, but just someone said, hey, there's an opening. You want to take it? I said, sure. And it was at Par over on 66th Street off 62nd there. And this was in 1985, something like that. And nobody wanted it. Nobody took it. And I did it for over 12 years.
Wow.
Once a month. It was only once a month. But I got to go in there and I'd see the people in 28-day program. So I only saw saw them once. Maybe I saw them another year or 2 down the road. And every time it come around my anniversary, someone would go I go, well, I'm going to have 5 years this month. Someone said, I would have had 5 if I wouldn't have picked up. Then the next year, it was 6. I would have had 6. It would be, and you hear it. But the biggest thing that I got out of all that, besides being out of self, and I had a commitment that mean I couldn't drink. I had to go. I mean, that's part of the service work. You don't want to let people down. And so I went in there and I shared it. And somewhere, usually in the meeting, I would say, have y'all been to AA? Has any of y'all been in AA? And I go, how many of y'all been in AA? 3/4 usually. I didn't count them and do the math, but around 3/4. And I'd say, now there's 30 people, 20 people, whatever. And I'd say, okay, now listen, y'all who got your hands up, keep your hand up if you can. And just let me know. When you were in AA, did your life get better? Keep your hand up if your life got better. And guess how many of them lowered their hand?
None of them.
Ever. Beautiful.
Yeah.
None of them.
None.
Now do the math on that.
Yeah.
If you do, okay, even if you did, say I went 10 years, times 12 times a year, it's 120 times how many people? 20?
Yeah.
3, 4, 5, 600 people, their life never got bad when they were in AA.
It's rarefied air, to find somebody. I've never found anybody that's
It's a good
They just-
stat.
they-
It's a
they-
good stat, good story. And yeah, I just kind of figured, I mean, I wouldn't put my hand down. I mean, you know what I mean? It'd just be like, no, my life has been substantially better since I quit drinking. I mean, I would think everybody who's in the program, their life has gotten better, or whatever program.
My sobriety is my most cherished and prized possession, bar none. Nothing else even comes close. I don't care about all the material stuff, all that stuff, but what's important to me is, you know, that I get to have this gift, and it's something that I cherish with everything, you know. And Lou, man, you were dude. We gotta get. I really enjoyed this episode with you, man, because you're cut from the same cloth. The same things I see today. Sometimes I get a little frustrated in a meeting when I don't see some of the rituals that were passed on to me, you know, being, and people are not, following some of the guidelines, the guardrails, and this gift that, it doesn't take much to implement those things. But it's kind of I see it watered down. Every once in a while I get a little frustrated. I've been to the Ozona meeting. They're not playing around over there. So that's all good and fine and dandy, but I do see a little loosey-goosey running around town. So I get a little frustrated with it. And am I a bleeding deacon or am I an elder statesman? I don't know. But I do feel an obligation sometimes to say something. And it somewhat can be a little unpopular. However, I guess I would rather say something than to watch somebody die. I've walked over the bodies, man, and I just ain't cool. And there's a lot of people that I really care about that aren't here today that I wish they were here, so I'm going to say so,
Yeah. Speaking of that, if you're having a tough time quitting, whatever it is that you need to quit, you're not alone. There's apps and numbers and groups in your town, or you can call us if you want. Leave us a message, 813-625-2532, or hit us up on Facebook. Taking that first step into a room or a chat or a group with people trying to get better just like you will be the best day of your life. Lou, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Is there something you'd like to part the show with? Is there one last tidbit that you'd like to give us?
Well, I probably got 100, but I'll try to think of something out of the toolbox. Pick one.
Yeah.
Right. One of the biggest things, I like keep too, or I just throw this in, is also remember, keep your sense of humor. It's very important. If I see a meeting getting real serious, I'll try to throw a joke or spin up. My sponsor used to say, anytime you can crack on me in a meeting to make it laugh, do it, and even we got the big full moon out there, and it was like the two drunks been drinking all night and they walk out of the bar and they're walking down the street and the one goes, is that the moon up there? And the other one goes, how the hell do I know? I don't live around here. And so we got to remember to keep our sense of humor. But what I always try to say is when we couldn't get the stuff, right? And I said it today because someone was complaining about a meeting. I said, hey, if you were out there ripping and roaring and you got kicked out of a bar, you'd go to another bar. If you didn't like that bar, you'd go to another bar. If you couldn't get your stuff, if you couldn't cop from this guy, you'd be on the phone calling another guy. Or if that guy didn't answer, you'd be calling him back. You'd be blowing his phone up until then, right? So we were willing to go to any lengths, right? We wanted it. We were getting ready. We were starting to Jones. But we'd go do the deal. Put that into your sobriety. Get excited about it. Get stoked about being sober. And one day you're like, that dude is right. It's worth it. You'll be walking down the road and you'll be going, I'm happy, joyous, and free. Might start even singing, even though you can't carry a tune, which I can. I used to sing in the shower. And my kids would go, Dad, stop, So keep your sense of humor, but put some seriousness to this. It's about balance. And if you're not enjoying sobriety, whose fault is it? It's your own damn fault, And if you don't like your home group, get in there and jump on, fix it, or start another one, or join another one.
Yeah.
I heard this girl the other day say, well, I've been through 10 sponsors. And I'm thinking, well, what do you think the problem might be? And I'm not picking on girls. It could be anything, Put your focus on energy follows attention. So if you put your focus on your sobriety and what you have, gratitude. There's a plaque that I have in my phone, and I share it at a lot of meetings, and I'll give it to you guys to throw on a website or something.
Thank you.
But it talks about what gratitude does, and it makes you happier. It makes you sleep better. It makes you just so many things. It's like 7 or 8 benefits of just being grateful.
Yeah.
And when you step back and see, let those with eyes see. Let those with eyes see. So we see what we really have. We've been given a precious, precious gift. It's incredible.
Yeah. It's
Hold it,
incredible.
enjoy it, and savor it, cherish it. But the biggest part of it is the more you give away, the more you don't get back, the more you get it. It's not about getting it back, it's about you get it. Unbelievable. Thanks for having
Guys,
me.
Dude,
This guy is stoked.
he is fun fire, man. Hanging 10 over there.
Primo, what's your final point
Oh,
on today's show?
Word, how do I do any
I don't know.
final?
Good luck
me-
following that.
You know, all right. So a lot of things were coming to mind, but this blessed gift of meeting people and learning, remain teachable, be a sponge. If you're gonna be a dishwasher, be the best damn dishwasher there ever was, and be grateful to be washing them dishes. You know what I mean? I'm thinking about getting a second job here, maybe just to get some therapy, go over wash some dishes. You know what I mean? And help that other guy, man. When that guy walks in and somebody's hurting, reach your hand out, man. There's so many great points to tonight that we can pass that on as when I take guys to the steps. Some of these things I'm pretty kind of clear and concise about some of the things, the way they need to be done, so that I hope that it transfers onto the next guy. And it's not about an ego or none of that bullshit. I get to watch somebody else recover and I get to help somebody, which is actually ridiculous that I'm capable or even able to help another human being. All right.
Yep.
So, I was gonna say some other maybe crass crude thing, but we're finishing with a little flute play and some spirituality here. So I'm gonna leave it with that.
Nice. Well, thanks for listening to Sober Shenanigans, real talk and real recovery. Worry, anxiety, and fear, it's all up in here. Give yourself a break. You're enough, and you're doing great. With Lou, I'm Stoff, and he's Primo, and remember, no drinks today.
We're all in the same boat, fellas.
But our shenanigans are cheeky and fun. Yeah, I mean, his shenanigans are cruel and tragic. Which makes them not shenanigans at all, really. Evil shenanigans.
I swear to God, I'll pistol whip the next guy that says shenanigans.
Shenanigans!